tonight, the province and Ottawa team up to fund a nuclear project near Estevan. The Sask NDP wants to bring back the net metering program to Sask Power, honoring Logan Boulay on Green Shirt Day.
Live from our studios in Regina, this is CTV News.
Good evening. The Saskatchewan government has made it no secret nuclear energy will power the future in our province, and Ottawa is backing those plans. As Sierra de Souza Butts tells us, they are investing in the supply chain for a project in the Estevan area.
With the goal of strengthening Canada's nuclear sector, the federal government is investing $625,000 for the Saskatchewan Industrial and Mining Suppliers Association.
It's not just about big projects. It's about making sure local businesses right here in Estevan and across Saskatchewan can be part of that nuclear future.
The funding aims to teach and spread awareness about opportunities in the nuclear supply chain to local businesses in southeast Saskatchewan.
We already are known as the energy city for oil and gas and for coal. This will add on to it, and it builds into the knowledge base that we already have in our community.
It's building this knowledge base. It's about the paperwork in nuclear power more than anything else, and it's learning those systems. And then, obviously, then you meet the right companies to work with and such like. But the hard part is learning the paperwork, learning the processes, then making the connections to get going.
The province is also investing $286,000.
There hasn't been a new greenfield nuclear environment in North America in over 40 years. So there's a lot of steps we have to go through as a provincial government to meet all the criteria.
Southeast Tech Hub says building on the nuclear sector from the ground up in Estevan opens numerous opportunities for generations to come.
It's just this big, huge opportunity for us. And the kids that are going to our high school now, they can now envision a future where they can stay in the community in nuclear and make a good living. And that's amazing.
Adding, it plans to work closely with the Organization of Canadian Nuclear Industries based in Ontario to mirror the infrastructure, policies, and environmental programs they have in place. Sierra de Souza Butts, CTV News, Estevan.
Government of Canada officials made another stop in Saskatchewan today, this time in the Queen City. The City of Regina is improving its wastewater infrastructure and, of course, got a helping hand from Ottawa. Mick Favel has those details.
One of the City of Regina's major projects just got a financial boost thanks to the federal government. $29 million will go towards the South Trunk Wastewater Upgrade Project, which is set to enter its third phase of construction this year.
We've been talking about the infrastructure deficit that we have. We've been talking about the need to catch up on that deficit, what it means in terms of growing our communities, helping with intensification, helping with basement flooding. This is a project that checks all those boxes.
When complete, the wastewater upgrade will expand capacity limitations, helping reduce the risk of basement flooding, reduce sewage bypass into the environment, and will be ready for future population growth. Recent extreme weather events have been pushing the current system to its limit.
That's when we see the risk of our old system not being able to contain that extra inflow and infiltration of rainwater that mixes in with our sewer system, and that's the risk we see. And so this pipe being 4.1 kilometers wide and almost 2 meters in diameter, you can imagine how much more capacity that is actually going to provide for the city during those wet weather events.
The funds for the project are a part of the newly launched Build Communities Strong Fund, a federal program which will help build municipal infrastructure for the next decade.
Everybody wants in on this Canadian economy, and I just say that Saskatchewan, and in this instance, Regina counts. And these are some of the things that are really inspiring us as we travel right across the country.
The City of Regina have been in talks with Ottawa for over 6 months, getting this support finalized. The mayor says the new funds will go a long way in addressing the city's infrastructure deficit.
We do have catch up to do. So, this project was accounted for and budgeted for, but what this does is actually unlocks opportunity in terms of being able to finance further projects and start to catch up on that deficit that we know we have.
When complete, the underground piping will run from the McCarthy Boulevard pumping station to east of the airport. Mick Favel, CTV News, Regina.
The Saskatchewan NDP is unveiling how they would handle the province's energy future, which they say would keep more money in your wallet. Now, later this week, Leader Carla Beck will introduce the full grid and growth plan. Part of that plan will introduce bringing back the province's suspended net metering program. This includes increasing the credit earned for self-generated power by 75%, allowing renters and other without suitable rooftops to buy into shared projects and received bill credits through a bit of a co-op model.
Empowers people to help lower their bills. It empowers people to be part of a solution to reducing emissions and taking control of electricity generation in their own hands.
Now, the province responded to the NDP's plan, saying the NDP has chosen to recycle the same unsustainable and ideologically driven plan first pushed by Ryan Miley when he was NDP leader, and which was roundly rejected by the Saskatchewan public. A number of Saskatchewan law enforcement officers hope to earn the gold standard for professional excellence. A group of conservation officers, highway patrol members, and deputy sheriffs are seeking accreditation from the Commission of Accreditation for Law Enforcement Agencies. Today, a final inspection took place in Regina. Wayne Mantika was there and has more.
These Saskatchewan officers want to meet the highest professional standards. They are taking part in an accreditation process.
We have a prisoner transport van that we use daily here on display. We have 3 separate pods.
The conservation officers, highway patrol members, and deputy sheriffs are known collectively as Provincial Protective Services. They were assessed by the Commission on Accreditation for Law Enforcement Agencies. Fewer than 1 in 18 police forces in North America have won the gold seal, and only 3 in Canada.
The standards themselves bring accountability to an agency. It is a wonderful leadership and operational guideline.
Meeting the highest standards would be an honor for these officers.
So I think it just made us more of a professional organization, so it just shored up some of the things that we thought we were already doing right.
It's a real big step forward to being recognized and being heard, and it's going to be one more accreditation in our belt.
Accreditation is a 5-step process of policy development, proof of compliance, and on-site assessment. This demonstration was the final step. A decision on accreditation is expected soon.
Well, I think what it does is it helps us attract people to want to become part of Provincial Protective Services, because it is essentially the gold standard.
Police force accreditation is an ongoing process with frequent evaluation and upgrading of best practices. It will ensure that Saskatchewan's Protective Services is operating to the highest international standards. Wayne Mantika, CTV News, Regina.
Well, spring cleaning is underway in Regina, at least when it comes to the roadways. The first phase of street sweeping has started, focusing on major roads like Albert Street and Louvain Drive, along with high-density areas like the General Hospital and downtown. During this phase, no parking signs will be visible. Any vehicle that does not comply might be towed and receive a $120 fine. Now, the second phase focuses on residential streets. That will likely start in late April. For more information, you can visit the city's website, regina.ca/sweep. Well, Sabine, they're not really street sweeping in the Parkland region right now because they will see most of the snow of the storm that's hitting Saskatchewan today and tomorrow.
Yeah, in many areas we're seeing that system making its way through right now, Lee. So Saskatoon's been seeing it late this afternoon into this evening. But yeah, the Parkland will see the bulk of that snow coming through tonight into the overnight, clearing by tomorrow morning. We're still seeing a number of those warnings in effect in the yellow there. And then the gray is the weather statements, where we're seeing that precipitation in the form of rain rather than snow. And some areas, in particular in the southeast, could even see some lightning making its way through with that rain as the Clipper continues to make its way through Saskatchewan. Temperature-wise, we got very warm today in Regina, 11 degrees, despite the fact that we had some very strong wind gusts up to about 60 kilometers an hour. The average is 8 degrees for this time of year, so we saw an above seasonal day. That'll change heading into tomorrow, where many areas, especially in southern Saskatchewan, could see below 0 daytime highs. But the warm-up is coming for the weekend, and I'll have details in your forecast. Lee?
Thank you, Sabine. Well, Logan Boulay, as we all know, was one of the 16 people who died in Humboldt Broncos bus crash about 8 years ago. But his legacy lives on. Before he passed, Boulay registered as an organ donor. Now, April 7th is known as Green Shirt Day, promoting organ and tissue donation in honor of Logan. Hallie Mandrick has that story.
8 years ago, Logan Boulay expressed his wish to become an organ donor. It's a decision that went on to save the lives of 6 people following his death in the Humboldt bus crash in 2018.
He would have just said it was the right thing to do. He's not going to need his healthy organs where he was going. And so by being able to donate has made an impact on so many.
In his honor, his family started Green Shirt Day, which is marked every year on April 7th to encourage more people to become organ and tissue donors. His story sparking the Logan Boulay effect, with an estimated 150,000 people becoming organ donors in the weeks following Boulay's death.
The wait list is so long in Canada. There's about 4,500 people who are waiting for those life-saving organ transplants, and some hundreds will pass away waiting for their transplants.
To mark the day, healthcare centres across Saskatchewan provided information about the process of organ donation. Lindy Brown says Green Shirt Day is a chance for loved ones to talk to one another about organ and tissue donation.
The most important thing is that your family is fully aware of your hopes and wishes, so that when a coordinator comes to speak with them, or a physician or the healthcare team, they are just fully aware of what your desires were, so that we can honor that.
For the Boulay family, Green Shirt Day is an opportunity to normalize a conversation that is often seen as difficult to have.
Our hope is that we can create a new culture where people talk about organ and tissue donation, and it's not like a subject that's taboo or it's daunting, but it becomes more of an everyday topic that people just talk about.
The number of people in Canada who signed up to donate following Logan Boulay's death is considered the largest bump in Canadian history. Anyone looking to register to be an organ donor in Saskatchewan can do so online at givelifesask.ca. And again, people are reminded to discuss their intentions with their families. Hallie Mandrick, CTV News, Saskatoon.
Unions representing staff at Saskatchewan Polytechnic are raising concerns over the suspension of several programs ahead of the next academic year. Stacey Hine has more on those concerns and a response from the post-secondary institution.
More than 30 programs at Saskatchewan Polytechnic are undergoing changes, most being suspended ahead of the next academic year. Unions representing staff at the post-secondary say these changes could worsen workforce shortages across the province.
Some of those programs service many industries across the province and will no longer be available within the province.
We are at an all-time recruitment, retention, staffing crisis in this province. And how are we going to rectify that if we do not have the services available?
The program changes come as more than 130 staff have been laid off since last April. The school has cited financial pressures, including revenue shortfalls linked to a federal cap on international students. The unions are also taking issue with executive pay, saying the top 3 leaders earn a combined total of $1.3 million annually.
And that money can't go towards programming and staffing. That's shameful. That is just an absolute shame.
According to Saskatchewan Polytechnic's payee disclosure report, President and CEO Larry Roja earned nearly $600,000 in 2024, or about $31.53 per student, roughly a third more per student than the presidents of the University of Saskatchewan and the University of Regina.
Our revenue stream is, 1/3 of what the U of S is, yet our president makes far more.
In a statement, Saskatchewan Polytechnic didn't comment on salaries, but says suspensions and layoffs only occur when absolutely required and with robust due diligence. It adds there's industry consultation to ensure in-demand workforce training remains a priority, and says leadership will continue to work with its partners to navigate this challenging time. Stacey Hine, CTV News, Saskatoon.
And some news for music fans. This year's lineup has been announced for Saskatoon's Rock the River.
Rock the River has always been about the experience and the fans who show up for it, regardless of the conditions, making it a true celebration of community and music.
Limblifter, Sloan, Everclear make up the acts that'll hit the stage Friday, August the 14th. On Saturday, it'll be the Northern Pikes, Headstones, Default, and Collective Soul. Sunday, fans can see Black Tea, Haywire, Starship, and Colin James. The 3-day rock show will take place along the river in Rotary Park. Tickets go on sale Friday morning through Ticketmaster. Grammy Award winner Chance the Rapper bringing his unique brand of hip-hop to Saskatoon this summer. The show will feature music from his latest album, Starline, as well as hits like No Problem and Cocoa Butter Kisses. Chance the Rapper will take to Saskdale Centre Sunday, July 12th at 7:30.
Greetings, everyone. For one Saskatchewan-born singer-songwriter, music has been a way to connect with her culture and who she is. Now, as her voice continues to be amplified, she's hoping to help others find that same connection. CTV's Stacey Hine has the story.
I come from a line of wild women.
Gia Carrier has been singing for as long as she can remember.
Music has always been something that was a part of me. My dad says that I actually sang before I talked.
The Indigenous artist says her love of storytelling and poetry naturally grew into songwriting.
I think as an Indigenous person, it's really embedded in who you are. It's a language and it's a way of communicating. So I think the fact that I became a performer and a singer was just me stepping into who I was always meant to be.
Her sound blends pop, rock, folk, and EDM. She released her self-titled EP in 2020 and last summer began rolling out singles from her follow-up, Be Hotter, ahead of a November 4th release. Her breakout track, Can I Be Her, climbed to #1 on SiriusXM's Indigenous Music Countdown in January. She says after years of Indigenous voices being silenced, it's important to see Indigenous representation today.
We weren't able to practice our language, our cultures, and so it's so vital for us to see ourselves represented in all industries and to have people who look like us, people to emulate, to want to be like.
For Carrier, that work doesn't stop with music. As a public speaker and author, she hopes to inspire Indigenous youth. Originally from Cumberland House, she says opportunities were limited in remote communities, and now she wants others to see what's possible.
You can, have a lack of resources, of support, of those things, but as long as you believe in yourself and you are determined and you find places where you can actually grow yourself and your crafts and master yourself, it's going to happen. It's just a matter of time.
Carrier says she has big plans ahead, with dreams of performing on stadium stages and at venues like Madison Square Garden. But for her, it's just as much about opening doors for the next generation. Stacey Hine, CTV News, Saskatoon.
If you have a story you would like to see in this segment, here's how to reach us. You can contact me by email, and you can also watch past episodes and segments of Indigenous Circle on our CTV Regina and CTV Saskatoon websites.
Indigenous Circle, brought to you in part by Saskatchewan Indigenous Enterprise Foundation, growing the First Nation entrepreneurial spirit.
Tomorrow,
I was shocked that there's other women.
How multiple women discovered they're married to the same man.
After some digging, it turns out I'm not even the first one.
Just how many wives they found. W5 investigates tomorrow on CTV National News and ctvnews.ca.
Well, next Monday, voters will go to the polls in 3 crucial federal by-elections that could give Mark Carney's Liberal government a majority. Abigail Bimman breaks down what's at stake.
A closely watched race in Terrebonne, Quebec, previously won by just 1 vote. And 2 in Toronto expected to stay Liberal red. Right now in Parliament, the minority Liberals hold 170 seats, the Conservatives 141. With 343 seats total, 2 by-election wins would officially get the Liberals a majority at 172.
The reality is it's actually a lot more complicated than that.
Political science professor Alex Marlin points to a number of factors. The Speaker, currently a Liberal, doesn't vote except in a tie. And in a tight majority, you need to make sure no one misses a vote. While the makeup of parliamentary committees doesn't suddenly change, not currently controlled by Liberals, so government business won't suddenly speed up.
Just because you happen to have a razor-thin majority, slightly more than half of the seats in the legislature, doesn't magically change an awful lot, other than in the narrative. The narrative for Mark Carney would become very, very positive, and by extension, it would be negative for Pierre Poilievre.
It would mean higher food prices, higher taxes, a ballooning deficit, which Mr. Carney has already doubled. It would mean that he could continue to block resource projects and give us the only shrinking economy in the G7.
That's why the third by-election in Terrebonne could make a difference, a tight fight between the Liberals and the Bloc. Add 4 floor crossers this session and questions about the future of a Trudeau cabinet minister, and you see why each seat matters. While the Prime Minister was clear, even with a majority, he wouldn't prorogue Parliament, launching a reset.
Absolutely not. It has never even entered my thinking.
There are more questions still about what could change the course of Parliament and government business. How the Prime Minister plans to fill growing Senate vacancies is one of them. Abigail Beeman, CTV News, Ottawa.
There are questions being raised today surrounding Federal Finance Minister François-Philippe Champagne's partner's involvement with a proposed high-speed rail project that some Canadians are opposing. Judy Trin has the details.
The office of François-Philippe Champagne says the federal government's past decision to fund Alto, a Crown corporation developing a high-speed train line, happened before he was appointed finance minister.
The largest infrastructure project in Canadian history.
More than a year ago, former Prime Minister Justin Trudeau announced that $3.9 billion would be invested in Alto. Champagne became finance minister a month later in March 2025. His partner, Anne-Marie Godet, seen here walking beside him, was hired by Alto in August. Champagne says in September, 10 days after Godet was hired, he proactively reported to the Ethics Commissioner and the Prime Minister his personal connection to Godet to safeguard against any real or perceived conflict of interest. The man who appointed Champagne says no rules were broken and that it's important for cabinet spouses to be able to earn a living.
The Minister of Finance has followed those rules and regulations in notification of the Ethics Commissioner, in recusing himself. This is a good situation because we have a partner who can pursue her career, the Minister of Finance who can do his responsibilities.
No new money was allocated in the budget that Champagne delivered, but he did announce that a faster timeline would be used to approve high-speed rail. The Conservatives are calling for the federal ethics watchdog to investigate the minister.
The legislation that benefits Alto was included in the finance minister's budget, and nothing ends up in the budget that the finance minister hasn't put eyes on or hasn't contributed to.
Champagne says he will not participate in votes or discussions pertaining to Alto, and that he's delegated fellow cabinet member Wayne Long from New Brunswick to participate in his place. Judy Trin, CTV News, Ottawa.
Transport Canada wants to know what people think of LED headlights. The department is surveying drivers after getting complaints from people who say that the LED headlights are too bright and create too much glare. The survey began after the City of Vancouver asked the federal government to intervene. People have 2 more weeks to make their opinions known on the Government of Canada's website. American rapper Offset was shot last night outside a Florida casino. The artist, who shares 3 children with star performer Cardi B, is in hospital and is expected to survive. Another rapper, who goes by Little TJ, was arrested in connection to the shooting. His lawyer denies his involvement, saying the accusations are rumors. Police say the investigation is ongoing. The British government has blocked American rapper Kanye West from traveling to the United Kingdom. He was supposed to headline London's Wireless Festival in July, but can't because of his previous anti-Semitic comments and celebration of Nazism. The festival organizer said the 3-day event is cancelled altogether as a result of the travel ban. The decision follows mounting pressure on the UK government after West was named a headline act earlier this month. Several major companies withdrew sponsorships, while UK Prime Minister Keir Starmer said the artist should never have been invited. Ahead of the World Cup, U.S. Immigration and Customs Enforcement is providing some clarity on what its ICE agents will do in Canada. An ICE spokesperson says agents will not carry guns, make arrests, or execute search warrants in Canada, but they can work with Canadian authorities on investigations. Canada's public safety minister says the agency has no authority or jurisdiction in our country. And NASA has released stunning new photos of the far side of the moon, something humans are seeing with their own eyes for the very first time. The Artemis 2 crew flew around the moon yesterday, snapping photos and taking detailed observations from the window of their Orion spacecraft. The photos include Earth and captured the Earth dipping below the lunar horizon. NASA also shared a new photo of a solar eclipse. The astronauts became the first people to see a solar eclipse from the moon. The crew also heard from President Trump last night. Coming up, U of S computer science students team up with marketing students, earning marks for a real-life experience.
It's just about time to cast a line. Wednesday on Your Morning, fishing expert Jason Madity on how to reel in the big one from shore and soon from your boat.
Hello, welcome back. Let's take a look at your forecast heading into tonight. As of right now, as we take a look outside through our weather cam, doesn't look too bad for Regina. Now, for most of the day, it was pretty clear. We didn't really deal with active weather coming through parts of Regina or most of southern Saskatchewan. Did start to see late in the afternoon that precipitation coming through in the southwest. Saw mixed precipitation, snow, rain in that mix, and now we're going to start to see some rain later tonight. But as of right now, the only thing we've dealt with is high wind gusts through most of the day, gusting up to about 60 kilometers an hour. The winds are starting to calm. Last I checked, they were gusting up to about 40, and currently we're sitting at 10 degrees. Warmed up to 11, as I mentioned earlier. Now, this is what we're dealing with over the last couple of hours anyway. This is that system that has prompted all of those snowfall warnings in central and northern Saskatchewan. As you can see, we are seeing a little bit of that rain coming through the south. Now, again, we were expecting to see that rain arrive in the Regina area around this time. Might just be a little delayed in the southwest, but we're still expecting to see more of that precipitation continuing as we head into the overnight, and that's where we will see the heaviest snowfall coming through parts of the parkland. So into this evening, it looks like perhaps we could be in the clear, but that's because this system is going to rotate through. So we'll see the heaviest snowfall in the parkland tonight into the overnight before that system clears out heading into tomorrow morning. We will start out the morning with cloudy conditions, and for tomorrow at least we will see mostly cloudy conditions for southern Saskatchewan until we head into late afternoon, where we'll see the clouds breaking up. We will also see a little bit more scattered precipitation heading into Thursday morning, so there is a slight chance we'll see some scattered flurries in the parkland, making its way through the parkland first thing Thursday morning, and then late afternoon scattered showers expected for southern Saskatchewan as well. But that'll just be the start of the mostly sunny conditions that we start to see as we approach the weekend. By Friday, a lot of southern Saskatchewan expecting to see sunnier conditions and warmer temperatures to start your weekend. This is a quick look at what your snowfall totals are looking like. Southern Saskatchewan could see anywhere between 1 to 3 centimeters of snow once that system is completely cleared out. But you can see again, it's the parkland. Yorkton expecting up to about 15-20 centimeters of snow between now and into tomorrow morning. And then the rest of the province still looking at a significant amount, 8 centimeters for Prince Albert, 11 for Hudson Bay, trace amounts for northern Saskatchewan. Now, we did just see that little bump up to 5 centimeters of snow for Regina. That's because we will see that scattered precipitation coming through Thursday. Sometimes these models register the rain and snow as one. So something to keep in mind there. But in terms of temperatures tomorrow, we're still going to see lower or colder than average temperatures tomorrow. But for many parts of the province, we're still seeing above zero. Saskatoon, Yorkton expecting -1 as the daytime high. And you can see Yorkton still dealing with that snowfall through most of the day tomorrow, or sorry, most of the morning before it clears out. Temperatures in the southwest, we're still looking at single digits, 0 for Weyburn, Estevan, -1 and cloudy for Assiniboine, -1 is also the temperature expected for Regina tonight. Expecting that mixed precipitation coming through. -5 is the expected low. Winds still quite high tonight. Into tomorrow, we'll see those winds gusting up to 40 with a high of -1. And then we have a really great weekend ahead. 5 degrees for Thursday, where we start to see that gradual warm up, mainly sunny conditions. By Friday, sunny and +10, so warmer than average. By Saturday, expecting a daytime high of 14 degrees, mainly sunny. Even the low sitting above zero, so warmer than average, low of +6. +4. By Sunday, 13 degrees, a mix of sun and cloud. And then, yes, we do, the snow's not gone just yet. We do have some light snowfall expected by Monday. 0 is the expected high. So we'll start to see the beginning of next week with those temperatures a little cooler than seasonal, but a very, very nice weekend expected with those temperatures sitting in the double digits, Lee.
Yeah, 14 and 13. You might see people driving around with the moon roofs open, sun roofs, maybe some convertibles, you know?
Uh-huh.
Yeah.
That's right.
All right. Thank you, Sabine. Well, decades ago, video games were thought to be a bit of a brain drain on kids. But these days, you can actually make a living if you're one of the best at playing a particular game. And then, of course, there's the creative minds that are designing these games, something that was on display today at the U of S. Carla Shinkruk explains.
Feedback survey. We'd love to hear from you.
These students aren't just playing games, they're leveling up their careers. The design, development, and marketing of a video game was the assignment for 80 students at the University of Saskatchewan this semester.
This is the culmination of an interdisciplinary collaboration between my class, Strategic Video Game Marketing, and Jason's class, Video Game Design.
4 teams created their own unique games, each combining technical skill with business strategy.
So this is the first time that computer science and Edwards have collaborated in this way.
But the project went beyond just building the game.
Didn't really have a complete plan about how the collaboration would work. We just kind of let that evolve organically and sort of see, this week the marketing students are doing a presentation, so my students watched it and they were able to learn about marketing through that.
For 3rd and 4th year students, the experience provided a hands-on look at what a career in the industry could look like.
So it's been really fun to talk to them and understand what they would want from a marketing perspective, and that's been a blast.
It was this student's final day in university, this project helping her in that next level after graduation.
We learned what it meant to work on a team. Working with the marketing students was extremely valuable, seeing how marketing works in an actual product and everything.
This event also served as their final project, instructors on hand tweaking marks. A winning project was announced based on the day's votes.
Crypt Keeper!
And these student-created games may not stop here. Some could be available on video game platforms as early as the end of this month. So for these students, it's definitely not game over. It's just the start. Carla Shinkruk, CTV News, Saskatoon.
Still ahead, the SJHL playoffs resume on 2 fronts as the Stars and Wings look to take advantage of home ice. The SJHL playoffs are back on the ice tonight as the Yorkton Terriers are in North Battleford for Game 3 of their semifinal series.
Protects the puck. Now Zawadzki getting a look on a different line. Giant Zawadzki cuts up front. Takes the shot. Scores!
Series is tied at 1. Terriers took Game 1. The Stars won Game 2. Yorkton split their games in North Battleford during the regular season. And puck drop is expected to drop around 7:30 at the Access Communications Center.
Monroe, back up, thought a backhand over top of the net. Prince Sask at the last second, there's a backhand and they score!
Meanwhile, in Weyburn, the Wings are hosting Flin Flon in Game 3. Series tied at 1 after Weyburn won Game 1 in Flin Flon. That was, of course, the first time the Bombers lost in regulation at home this season. And Weyburn actually won both games against Flin Flon in a regular season at the Whitecap Resources Centre. Puck drop is 7 o'clock. Now, the WHL playoffs, the Saskatchewan team is guaranteed to be in the East Conference Final after the Saskatoon Blades pulled off the upset against Edmonton.
Lewandowski through traffic, deflected, scores.
Owen Calvert from Moose Jaw, the hero in overtime, is second of the series. That lifted the Blades to a 3-2 win over the Edmonton Oil Kings in Game 7. So they're going to move on to face the Prince Albert Raiders in the second round. The second time in 3 years that those two teams have clashed in the playoffs. Game 1 is set for Friday night in Prince Albert at the Art Hauser Center. Should be rocking. The other East semifinal will be a Southern Alberta affair. Medicine Hat against Calgary. And after a 3-0 start, the Toronto Blue Jays have landed with a thud, losing last night badly in a World Series rematch with the Dodgers.
Tucker not going, and Hernandez hits it deep to left field for a 2-run homer.
Ugh. Toronto beaten 14-2 last night, 5th straight loss. Kevin Gausman will try and right the ship tonight. He's on the mound right now as they're taking on LA, and Jay's injury woes really hurting him. Outfielder Addison Barger placed on a 10-day injured list, and catcher Alejandro Kirk expected to miss 6 weeks after undergoing left thumb surgery. Still ahead, ways you can avoid scammers through online banking.
All right, let's take a look at what your rural forecast is looking like heading into tomorrow. So once this Alberta Clipper completely clears out, we should see it clear by tomorrow morning, but areas still along the eastern border there could still see a little bit of light snow. Wynyard -3 and some light snow, mix of sun and cloud for Watrous -3. And then we're going to see some temperatures along the west there bumping up just above 0. Spiritwood, Outlook, Lloydminster +1, 2 degrees for Meadow Lake and Kindersley, and even Hudson Bay seeing a mix of sun and cloud, 2 degrees. Melfort could see some fog-like conditions starting out the day. -2 is the expected daytime high. And then basically the same story as we take a look at temperatures closer to the southern border there. 3 degrees for Leader and Maple Creek, 1 for East End Cypress, -1 for Assiniboia Rockland, and then snow in the southeast to start out the day anyway. Carlisle -1, -2 for Broadview, and Kenora -1. Lumsden and Pilot Butte mostly sunny, -1 is the expected high, mostly cloudy. Same story for Vibank, which is located about 50 kilometers east of Regina, and where internet speeds up to 1 gig are available through SaskTel. Tomorrow, -1 is the expected high. Wind chill of -7, but as we head into the evening, that low will be about -7 with a wind chill of -13, and could see a little bit of snow in the forecast for tomorrow morning.
As scams become more sophisticated using artificial intelligence, experts say protecting your money comes down to small habits. CTV's Laura Woodward has more on the advice that can help keep your money out of the wrong hands.
Make sure that auto deposit is enabled.
Tech expert Brennan Schmidt says one of the best ways to protect yourself from e-transfer scams is turning on auto deposit. It eliminates the need for a password, reducing the risk of a transfer being intercepted. The advice comes after a recent CTV News story where a Saskatchewan woman lost an $11,000 SGI payout in a suspected email takeover scam.
If you're being encouraged to do something, take pause, because in a lot of cases, bad actors will largely be focused on whether or not something is an immediate action because you need to claim something because you want it, or on the opposite side of the spectrum is something that you're going to face some sort of a penalty, so you must act now. Just take a second, think through it.
Jennifer Quaid, the executive director of the Canadian Cyber Threat Exchange, says always verify email addresses. In the email takeover scam, the e-transfer looked like it came from SGI, but was really from senderoffice811@gmail.com.
Or it'll be something that might be close to what you were expecting, but they've changed one letter, or they've used a small L instead of a capital I.
Canadians lost more than $704 million to fraud last year. But that may only be a fraction of the real figure, with just 5 to 10% of cases believed to be reported. Quaid says many victims stay silent, often out of shame.
And I think that's on us. I think we as a society need to normalize this happening to really smart people.
Talking about fraud not only helps others to stay vigilant, but reporting it can help authorities track trends and properly direct resources to stop scammers. Laura Woodward, CTV News, Saskatoon.
Well, if you buy lottery tickets, you'll soon see changes to the Lotto Max game. Starting on Friday, ticket prices are rising from $5 to $6, but each one comes with 4 lines instead of 3. Players will also choose their 7 numbers from 52 rather than 50. Of course, that changes the chances a little slightly higher to not win, which usually is the case, but the shift to a larger pool means that more maximum money. Jackpots increasing to now $90 million. That's the most you could win, up from the current $80 million cap. So more on the line. Lotto Max. Canola street price down 70 cents to $663.43 per ton, while the futures price is down $6.40 to $732.80 per ton. Street price of amber durum wheat $278.59 per ton. Red spring wheat's down 59 cents to $278.42 per ton. Feed barley $245.58 per ton, and flax is $670.54 per ton. Those prices courtesy of Bunge and Ice Canada's futures. Markets. Not much going. TSX went up slightly by 55 points. Dow Jones went down slightly by 85 points. Canadian dollar as well went up a little more than 1/10 of a cent to 71.98 cents US. On a commodity front, gold up $56.66. West Texas Intermediate crude continues to go up. It's up another 54 cents to $112.95 a barrel. And Western Canadian Select crude went down a little more than $1. So how has that impacted gas prices? Not yet. Still sitting at $1.75.9 cents per liter.
Vizsla is based in Vancouver. It confirms that 9 out of 10 workers kidnapped back in January are dead. The employees worked at the Canadian company Silver Mine in Sinaloa State. It's known for cartel violence. Mexican officials say the group may have been mistaken for gang members when they were abducted. One of the workers is still missing. For the first time in 6 months, home sales in Toronto rose. Last month, sales were up 1.7% from March of 2025. But prices are still moving in the opposite direction. The average selling price dropped 6.7% year over year, but it's still over $1 million. Canadians could soon see better deals on Doritos. Sources say PepsiCo has missed its revenue targets and so will slash prices on salty snacks like Lay's, Ruffles, and Cheetos. Walmart has been complaining about the higher price of PepsiCo products, saying some bags cost as much as $7. Those are your business headlines. I'm Morella Fernandez.
Coming up tonight after the newscast, we've got Will Trent, followed by High Potential 8 o'clock, RJ Decker at 9, and Best Medicine at 10. What's the best show out of those four?
RJ Decker.
Okay. That's Sabine's picks.
There you go.
In BC, there was a bit of a delicate rescue to free a pair of bald eagles that were trapped in power lines.
Yeah, so this footage shows a firefighter along with wildlife volunteers and BC Hydro crew using a ladder to reach the two birds hanging upside down from power lines in Surrey. The birds had locked talons while sparring during nesting season. Once freed, the birds appeared to be quite okay and immediately took flight.
And went to go fight somewhere else.
Yeah. It's like when you break up a kid's fight and they like find another place to go.
Yeah, it's like, okay.
Yeah.
I'll meet you at the bikes.
Wow. All right, well, have you ever heard of a bird suffering from a cold?
No.
Okay, well, this raven would certainly have you believing he's got a case of the sniffles.
Oh, yeah, sounds like sneezing, doesn't it, coming from the raven? Huxley isn't actually sneezing. He's mimicking the sound from one of the people working at the Good Cause Crow Rescue Society in Prince George. What? So he's been doing this because they've been doing it. Not only does Huxley like to make sneezing noises, he can say his own name.
I would like to hear that.
What?
Wow.
No, we're not going to hear that. We're just going to hear the sneezing.
But I didn't know ravens. That is wild.
Quoth the raven. That's you.
That very poetic.
It is a poem.
I know.
Did you know that?
Uh-huh.
Okay.
Have a good night.